I think so. The danger that could have arisen if Her Majesty passed and there was not a clear successor has been resolved, and we can now start to plan for his role and his leadership as the future head of the Commonwealth.
Do you feel confident, though, that that decision will hold against this backdrop of renewed interest in republicanism? Barbados, your own home country, voted to become a republic at the end of last year. We've seen similar noises from places like Jamaica. Australia has a new government that is moving towards republicanism. Is that going to change the situation? Is it going to change attitudes?
I don't see the two issues as being related, in the sense that over 2/3 of the membership of the Commonwealth are currently republics. And those heads of government, heads of state, have been comfortable with Her Majesty as the head of the Commonwealth, and in 2018 would have voted freely and unanimously for Prince Charles to succeed her. And I think that is going to hold, because republicanism is really about a country's journey towards self-determination, specifically to have one of their nationals, one of their citizens, as head of state. But outside of that, the Queen and then Prince Charles will remain the head of the Commonwealth, which doesn't create to me any tension with republicanism.
Given that the Queen has been on the throne for 70 years now, how will the Commonwealth change then when Prince Charles takes over? Will it change to reflect a new era opening?
One of the fascinating things about the Commonwealth, this former largely group of British colonies, is that they have, notwithstanding the journey to independence, remained united around an old colonial power. And that has a lot to do with Her Majesty, and she needs to be congratulated for providing the leadership and the astuteness to allow these countries to come together as equals. And I think Prince Charles would have learned and observed her role as the head of the Commonwealth and would have understood and got the experience that is required for him to continue along this smooth and pragmatic path. But also, I see him being able to add, based on his own knowledge and expertise in areas like environment and sustainability, to some of these issues which are crucial in the Commonwealth, particularly among small states.
And will it be issues like the environment that keep the Commonwealth relevant? The Commonwealth certainly stood up against apartheid in the 60s and the 70s, but has it had a unifying cause in quite the same way since then?
I would say yes, and coming from, as you mentioned, Barbados, where the Commonwealth put the issue of small island developing states on the international agenda, it was and still has a very important role to play. 32 of the 54 members of the Commonwealth are small states, and the Commonwealth's voice as a champion for small states issues has been second to none. We also have to remember that prior to the UN summit in Rio to discuss the environment, the Commonwealth 2 or 3 years before had already met and had a declaration and a position on climate change and sustainability. So there's a way in which the Commonwealth has been leading the global agenda on some critical issues. And I suspect, as we are anticipating at this summit in Rwanda for Gabon and Togo to join, that other countries are seeing the value added as being members of this Commonwealth family of nations.